Hi there, Dolly friends. I want you to know that whether you've visited the doll cupboard 100 times or one time, or maybe this is your very first time, I am so very grateful and happy to have you here. You remember last week I made this ugly paper fern. I did rework it and I'll show you that at the end of the video. It improved somewhat. But I'm so happy you're here today because I want to get your opinion on something. The allure and disappointment of Printies. Yes, I'm talking about the adorable accessories we all see when we're shopping online or looking for inspiration and gasp out loud when we see the dreaded PDF download or downloadable file. Well, if you're a regular visitor here, you already know that after my fern fiasco, I've been in a bit of a funk. I was looking at vintage kitchens on Pinterest, and one thing I noticed is that there was lots of open shelving and lots of stuff. Lots of things on the walls, pots, pans, spices. Kitchens were small and crowded, and I decided that in order to stock my kitchen the way I envision, and other rooms as well, I would have to revisit printable mini kits. And yes, I'm calling them kits because that's really what they are. Here are some that I've downloaded. But one of the reasons I've shunned printables in the past is the dreaded free mini printables rabbit hole I inevitably get sucked into. Have you ever been there? And 2 hours later, I'm right back where I began without a project. So this time I gave myself limited time to search for free Printies. I tried to stay focused on kitchen things and books. Books, I was just telling my friend Lisa, they are just one of those things that's just a thorn in my side, and I need to get over it. Also, I was allowing myself to spend, let's just say, as much as I would on glue for some downloaded printables. The nice thing about purchasing printables is that they're usually scale ready. They're a more up-to-date resolution, so they're better resolution than some free ones that are out there. And they usually have some directions. And I like Etsy for this. So I think I bought from 2 different shops. I'll link the websites in my description. I'm going to start with books, and I've cut some little bodies of the books. I did one out of a little nursing catalog that I had. I did a couple out of foam board, and I did another one out of some cardboard. And I'm just looking them over because the books are various sizes. And one thing I learned from the very first time I did books was that the cover of the book should be a little bit larger than whatever you're putting inside, whether it has pages or doesn't. And if I could just do a little disclaimer here, this is not a tutorial. This is me trying different things, making lots of mistakes, and trying to become a better dollhouser. I'll put a link to the first printables that I made, which were Valentines. And what I learned from making those was how important scoring the edges that you're going to fold is. I started out using this polymer clay tool, but it was very sharp. In fact, this book here, I've already scored with it. So I'm going to show you what happens when you do that. Then I went to using one of these, and I thought that that wasn't precise enough. And I finally found a tool I really like, and that is this vintage letter opener that I thrifted ages ago. It was an advertising piece from an exterminator. So find some good lighting, a good straight edge, and your tool, and then score a couple times gently. I have glued my book pages onto this little piece of wax paper that I have because I thought it would eliminate some of the white on the inside of the cover that you might see. You could try it with a fancier paper or none at all. And also I have sealed my pages with some matte Mod Podge, very, very light. In addition to a good scoring tool, you need some good scissors. These Scotch Precision scissors can be found on Amazon and they're really great, but they are a little big from what I normally like. I like these really tiny pointy ones. I think these came from Temu. I heard that cutting foil with your scissors will sharpen them a little bit, and I found that to be true. It doesn't stay sharp terribly long, so you might have to do it a few times, especially if you're cutting lots of paper. And these little tiny ones I've had since I was a wee baby nurse, and I've had them for ages. There are lots of simpler ways to make books, and there are lots of more complicated ways to make books. I wanted a variety of different kinds and sizes and colors of books, so this is what's working for me. But there are many good videos of how to do books, and this is not going to be a tutorial like I mentioned. So I'm finding that the foam board might be the best for this particular book because the spines are different sizes and the bottom part of what I've cut is going to work the best. So I'm going to glue it on there. Now what I was doing is I was coloring the edges before I glued it on, which really isn't necessary. These permanent markers, what I call Dollar Tree Sharpies, can be found at the Dollar Tree for only $1.25.
Right.
Yeah, you can also color the inside edges of the opposite side of the cover if you want to, and I'll show you that in a minute. And it's peeling there. So you can see that because I used that sharper tool, that the spine was splitting a little bit. So a little bit of diluted paint will color that in a little bit, or you could use an ink pen. And I'm just using Mod Podge, but you can use any, I would use any PVA type glue, just white glue or tacky glue even. And yeah, I'm going to do another one here. Now this one I did not previously score, so I'm going to use my termite tool. And that's all I'm doing. And I decided that I'm going to be doing more Printies because I think they're going to improve my crafting skills. I'm hoping that I will get better, that I will become more patient. You need a lot of patience to do these. They're not simple. The skills needed are simple, but it's not simple to do them because it takes a lot of patience, a lot of focus, and it takes time. You have to let things dry and then do the next one, and you have to do them over and over and over again. So you need time to sit down and do some crafting. So I'm going to be making an effort to do more of them, and I think it's going to make me better at making miniatures. I'm hoping. I'm thinking of it like calisthenics for minis, you know? Yeah, so you can go all the way up and down. You can do as many as you want this way and then cut them however you want to do it. I had completely forgotten that one of my wonderful Dolly friends had given me this bag of Scrabble tiles, and I've seen Gretchen and other miniaturists use Scrabble tiles for books. And I was just thinking, oh, they're all going to be the same size and they're square. Is that going to work? So I was just trying it out, and they were too big. I want you to know before I cut this tile, I had no hope in my mind. The tile seemed so hard and so firm, I was actually a little afraid to cut it. But it cut like butter, which was a revelation for me because I can cut these and make all different kinds of books, and they cut easily all different ways. Did you know this, Dolly friends? I must have missed this instructional. I did not know they were so easy to cut. So you can use them for many different things in crafting. They even cut diagonally with miter shears like butter. So I really like this because they are even, they're firm, it gives you something to press it down on. They look nice and neat, and I could make these all day long. I use my knife to score some lines in order to simulate pages, and then I just use some watered down brown paint to darken it up a little bit. And I really am happy with the way those turned out. Yay! I didn't have the brown wax paper on this one, so I just colored the edges to hide the white. And voila, here's some of the books. I'm going to make some cans and boxes now, and be patient with me because it's a trial. It's a trial. You can do your printable cans on some cardstock and then just roll them up, and the cardstock is firm enough that you can use them that way. Or you could roll them around different things, and I'll show you the different things that I used. And then here's one of the canister spice boxes, and there's little place for lids on top. And instead of using the little circles that were provided, I tried doing a little hole punch up some foil and added that. It just gives it a little bit more dimension. And on the shelf, it looks like the dispenser for the, I think that one might be nutmeg. I can't remember, but I'm going to show you the printables that I used. The can and spice box that I just showed you were from this set, which I bought on Etsy. I'll link the information in the description box. But you get a whole canister set with the lids, which are the little circles there. You're supposed to stack them 3 deep and glue them together. And they come with the scoring lines already printed. You can see where I added the Mod Podge there. I'm using this other ruler, which I got in a pack of 3, also at the Dollar Tree, and I like it much better because I like the transparency. It helps me keep it aligned. And I'm just doing my scoring with my little termite tool here. Yeah. And now the cutting. Now this is not my strong skill here, but I'm practicing, and I think this is going to help me. I think making these is going to help me become better at making miniatures. When you cut the corners when you're doing boxes, be sure you get all the way to the scoring line. When you cut that angle, it will help in the folding. Otherwise, it does get kind of bulky, and you'll see that the more you do it. And I'm hopefully getting better as I go. And glue. Oh, glue. How we love you and hate you. As much as you can keep your fingers out of the glue, the better. And it is really hard because it's so tiny and you have to press on it a little bit. And you can use your tool to apply glue, and I would use a toothpick or something really small, but it is really hard. And for me, once I get it on my fingers, it's all over whatever I'm doing. So I think that is something I'm really going to have to work on, and this will help me the more I do it. I'm going to do one more here. I'm going to do this little cocoa box here. Links to where I got my Printies I'll put in my description box. I know I already said that, but I thought it would bear mentioning again. And I did use some free ones as well. I'll put a couple sites for free printables as well. This kit came from Mosswood Minis, and it only comes in 1/12 scale, but I did see some other sellers had various scales, so you'll just have to look for your particular scale. What's this, you ask? This is salt and a mini scoop that I made. Isn't it cute? And why do I have it? Because I'm using it as ballast. What's ballast, you say? It's weighted material you put inside something else to stabilize it. You hear that term often with boats. I want to emphasize how important it is to make sure that all the rest of the glue that you have done already on your boxes is dry before you do this step, because otherwise you will have sugar-coated, frosted looking spice tins. Ask me how I know this. I'm using a little paintbrush to kind of dust off the edges a little bit. You can also use rice, which I ended up using later for some other ones. And then here is where I get into trouble, because you can see that as I'm folding over the glue, it's getting everywhere. And even with wiping it off, it still gets on my fingers. So using a little metallic pen or a black pen or any color that you think works well with whatever you're building can really bring out a little bit of detail. And I know that with my own spice tins, even though they're mostly label, you can see the little metal parts on the ends. I decided to make my little shelf a kitchen shelf by painting it the Art Deco aloe, or what I call 1930s green, to hold all my little cans. Let me show you some different methods that I use to do the cans. So here's a Campbell's soup can. And one of the things I did was I used a stick that I found on the ground. You know, I'm not happy unless I'm picking up sticks and using them for my doll's house. And I found some that were the perfect circumference for cans. And then I cut off little pieces of the other end to use as my ballast. So I just have it on here. And the reason I'm not cutting it right off this end is because it's the perfect size and I want to use it for other cans, so I'm cutting it off the other end. But you could just cut it off right here. And there's one. Look how tiny it is. It's just 1/4 of an inch tall, which is the absolute perfect 1/12 scale for a soup can. I added some shelving to my shelf in a contrasting cream color. Don't the cans look cute there? So I bought a package of 24 of these pencils at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. The erasers come off, those can be used as a ballast, and then the little metal part easily comes off and can be used as a can. And I took it off and then put it back on just a little bit so that it'd be easy to take off again. And I'm forming the label around it. And then I'm cutting out some of the lids, and then I'll glue those on. I use the end of my termite letter opener to emboss a little indentation on the end of the lid, just to give it a little more detail, so that when I color it in with my silver pen, it will look like there's some dimension to it. I was experimenting and I cut, and I'm going to bend in the ends here, but it's actually a little bit difficult to do. I suppose with some practice I might be able to do a better job, but it didn't really turn out that well. But I think I'm going to keep trying that. And I went ahead and just used the pencil itself as a ballast. Can you see it inside the can there? The lead in the middle. So you can just cut that with your miter shears, and think how many cans you could make out of a package of 24 pencils. So I'm going to keep adding details and building cans and spice tins, and I'll show you how it all looks put together and put into the doll's house. Before we get to the rest of the house, here is the paper fern I redid. And here is the actual leaf fern that I did. I sprayed it with some sealer, so that's there in the corner where the bookshelf is. So I mixed the books I made with other books that I have made so that I have a nice full bookshelf with a variety of books. I still need to make tons more because I need some for the nursery. I have some children's books to make. And my plan is to try to be making some printables at least once a month. And I'll try to show them to you. So hopefully you can let me know if I'm improving or not. So the second shelf there, the one right in the middle, is the one that has most of the books that I made, but I did intersperse them throughout, and I think it looks really good. I think it looks better than it did, and I think my plant looks better than it did too. Let me know what you think. If you haven't already, don't forget to enter the 2,000 subscriber giveaway. I'll link the video where you can do that above. And now into the kitchen. I just can't figure out what I want to do with this little kitchen here. You'll see a shadow bouncing around on the wall there. That is the light that's hanging in the kitchen, and it's swinging. So it looks kind of strange. There's nothing supernatural happening here. So here's the shelf, and I loaded it with spice tins. I put the large ones on top so you can't really even see the lids that I made, but maybe another time. And I added some of the kitchen tools that I made dangling there with the dishcloth. And I really like the way it looks. I'm not sure about the placement here. And please pardon my bounciness. I have a new gimbal that I'm trying to learn how to use, and this is the very first time I'm using it. A gimbal is one of those camera steadiers. You can see that I don't know how to use it, but hopefully I'll get better at it, and it'll be less like being on a ship when you watch my videos. Anyway, I'm so happy that you've all come by today to see me make some printables. Please leave a comment and let me know your opinion on Printies. And please come back and visit me next time in the doll cupboard. I just bought these new Scotch precision